Our second session today is a book launch of This is Sanatan Dharma, The Quest for Truth. It will be followed by a discussion with the author. The author, Partho, is a writer and teacher. He will be in conversation with Gautam Chickermane, author and vice president of the Observer Research Foundation. The book, published by Blue One Ink, is available exclusively at the ink section of the PLF bookstall. So don't miss the chance of getting your copies. Partho and Gautam Chickermane, please come on stage.
Good morning, and delighted to be here at the Pondy Lit Fest again. I almost sometimes feel like I'm furniture at every Pondy Lit Fest that has been physically held. I've been a participant. Thank you, Partho. Thank you, all the other organizers. Partho, okay, so that's Parth. This is Partho. Partho has been described as a writer, but he's also been a teacher. He's also been a trainer. He's always been a reader, and to me, he's been an instrument. Partho was the reason Partho was the instrument that brought me to Sri Aurobindo about 25 years ago, and ever since then, I have never looked back. And although we have gone up and down, we continue to be bonded together by Sri Aurobindo. When I read this book, Partho, this is Sanatan Dharma, I could see that the Partho of 25 years ago talking to me, so there hasn't been much change. But that aside, I find that your book is extremely gripping, simple, without being simplistic, and it puts together the almost entire edifice of what Sanatan Dharma is. Now that Sanatan Dharma has become a political rallying point to win elections by ostracizing it, destroying it, creating divisions between Hinduism and Sanatan Dharma, within Sanatan Dharma through caste, that Sanatan Dharma is evil, it's a disease, it needs to be destroyed. Your book suddenly becomes very timely, and I think if this controversy, this needless political, hateful controversy brings people closer to Sanatan Dharma through your book, I think it would have achieved far more than you could have even imagined while you were writing. Sanatan Dharma is a book that I wanted to write, and but after reading this book, I'm not certain if I have the courage anymore. So let's start immediately, Partho. What is Sanatan Dharma? Yeah, can you simplify it in a minute? Is it possible to do that?
I don't think so, but without being too simplistic. The first thing that comes to my mind is order and harmony. So, order that is embedded in our cosmic existence, the order that makes possible this cosmic manifestation. the order that can be molecular, holding matter up, or biological, holding this body, mental, organizing and centralizing the intelligence, consciousness, and spiritual, and even beyond that, higher than that. So at every level of our being, at every level of existence, the order and harmony that holds everything together is Dharma. Sanatan, of course, is timeless, eternal, embedded in the very nature of existence, therefore free of the limitations of time, free of human circumstances, and a transcendent order that is also at once immanent in all forms and all movements of life. That's Sanatan Dharma, the eternal order of things and beings.
So, would it be then correct to agree with those who are critiquing Sanatan Dharma, not critiquing, who are bent on destroying Sanatan Dharma, to say that Hinduism is different from Sanatan Dharma?
So again, Sanatan Dharma and Hinduism are not separate really. What is Hinduism? It is Sanatan Dharma. Actually, if you want to use our own language, then we won't call it Hinduism at all. We'll say Hindu Dharma at best. So what is this Hindu Dharma? It is the Sanatan Dharma. So there's no separation.
So then Hinduism, Hindu Dharma or Sanatan Dharma are not religions. So they are right.
So it's not religion. It's again the order of things.
I think that is the trouble, that people find it, Sanatan Dharma is so broad. So
again, we'll have to define religion before we make a statement like that it's not religion. So when we say it's not religion, specifically talking about religion in the Abrahamic sense. So in an Abrahamic sense, it's not religion.
In the Indic sense?
In religion, the real sense of religion, the Godward endeavor of the human being, to use Sri Aurobindo's definition, then yes, it's a religion. It's a Godward endeavor. It's now Godward means what? It's an endeavor towards the divine. It's the human that wants to understand its divine origins and become that divine. So that's religion. So in that sense, it's religion.
And if it is so sublime and so much to do with consciousness and spiritual principles, why is there so much hatred towards it? Why is it attracting such viciousness that everybody wants to kill us, convert us, cure us as though we are a disease? What is this hate that is coming towards us?
Frankly, I don't understand. At one level, it is very political. No person who really understands Sanatan Dharma will be able to attack it, because what's there to attack in Sanatan Dharma? You cannot attack an order of existence. You cannot attack existence. So what they are attacking is a certain aspect that they have singled out, a certain aspect of a practiced version of what Sanatan Dharma really is.
Can anybody do that for any other religion? There are several practices which are bad, openly bad. Yesterday, there was this fascinating discussion of the kinds of evils that are happening in other religions. Nobody does it. So are Sanatanis cowards intrinsically? Are we hiding behind something called ahimsa, peace, harmony, equilibrium, and so on?
Are Sanatanis cowards? I don't know. But we are complacent. We are genetically peace-loving. I don't know if I can use that phrase. Genetically predisposed to peace. We don't get up there and fight a battle. It takes a lot for us to do that.
So in the previous session, Vikram mentioned how at some point the freedom movement needed to pick up arms. Do you think that it is time for that Shastra to pick up Shastra so that nobody can spit on us anymore is a necessary point at this point in time?
So I've always believed this, Gautam, that we...
Can we get a better mic, please?
Is this mic working or not? It is. Continue. I think this is. I have to hold it this way. So I've also written in several places about the need to come back to a Dharma Yuddha. Yeah, this is better. Okay, thank you. So the need to come back to another Dharma Yuddha, battle for the Dharma, that is necessary. I think the time has come when we need to stand up and get back to a new kind of Kurukshetra, a new kind of Dharma Yuddha. But this is not just going there and fighting, and it's not the old physical violence. And I've always held that the first thing we need to do is realize the Sanatan Dharma within ourselves. That is our first astra, really, to realize and to embody the Dharma within ourselves. The moment we do that, the moment, let's say you and I, just two people stand up here, having realized and embodying the Dharma, there will be such power in that it'll make its own impact. We won't have to pick up arms, physical arms against it. We ourselves will be the arms. We ourselves will be the astra. So other religions may be fought on, maybe fought physically, vitally, but Sanatan Dharma, the battle for Sanatan Dharma, the true, real Dharma Yuddha begins with the realization of Dharma.
And I think that perhaps because of the profound vision that you just described and which all of us here know, I think the purity of Sanatan Dharma, I think Sanatan Dharma is a light that blinds the Asuric forces. And because of that blinding, the purity of this Dharma, the layers upon layers of the spiritual growth, what you mentioned, realizing it within oneself, perhaps attracts these insectile and infantile attacks on this. They are unable to tolerate the light. How would you read that?
Yes. Just let's go back to what we just spoke a while back. What is the Sanatan Dharma? It's the eternal order of existence itself. It's that which holds this cosmos together, the eternal order. So what order or what Dharma do I talk about if I haven't realized it within myself? If you haven't experienced that Dharma, that eternal order and harmony, and if I also feel that how do I fight for it?
These other religions, perhaps they know that Sanatan Dharma is where they are headed. And perhaps the politics prevents them from going there, or the economics of those religions through various churches, madrasas, etc.
So the irony is this, Gautam, and I've mentioned it somewhere, that if you go deep enough into your own religion, if the Christian goes deep enough into Christianity,
he will reach Sanatan.
He will reach Sanatan Dharma. He has to. He or she has to, because there is no other way. The deeper you go into the true religion, the closer you come to Godhead, the closer you're coming to this eternal harmony and order that we call Dharma.
Okay, so let me move from hate.
Islam too.
Yeah, let me move from hate to operations. The Hindu Dharma, the Sanatan Dharma is filled with infinite rituals, symbols, stories. And in your book, you hardly make a mention. In fact, in that chapter where you say what Sanatan Dharma is not, you highlight these rituals as not being part of that. This is not Sanatan Dharma. Although everybody, all of us, for instance, you don't wear anything, I wear this. I wear a Janeau, you probably don't. But yet both of us are Sanatanis. And in your book, this aspect, the ritual part, the religious aspects, the outer manifestations of an inner expression, you find them to be not Sanatani?
So again, unless the ritual and the symbol is seen and practiced and lived with reference to the Sanatan Dharma, it makes no sense. It's just a ritual then. So the ritual will assume significance, reality and power only when it is constantly referring back to the Dharma behind it. So, for instance, let's say I offer water to the sun in the morning, just an offering of water. So it's a ritual, which is very Sanatan in a sense, Hindu ritual, I would call it. So it's a gesture of offering something that's important for me, something that symbolizes my life in this sense, let's say water, and I'm offering it to the sun, which is symbol of, again, a higher life, a higher truth for me. So that's the ritual part of it. Now, suppose I have realized the Dharma itself, if I've realized within myself the life force, I've realized the higher consciousness within myself, then I don't need the outer symbol anymore. I don't need the symbol of the offering anymore, because the consciousness is flowing out to this higher truth. And that itself is the offering that is eternal, Sanatan. You cannot stop that offering, because that is the principle on which our human existence is based, constant offering of this self to that self. So if you've realized that principle, which I call the Vedantic principle of Sanatan Dharma, then you don't need the ritual. The ritual fades away. So finally, we will have a Sanatan society, a Sanatan community, which will be living so much in the consciousness of the truth of Dharma, in the true Dharma, that no ritual, no symbol will be needed anymore. That will be the purity of the Dharma. Till then, we will need rituals and symbols. But again, firstly, to understand till then, we will need rituals and symbols. But secondly, to understand, more importantly, that the rituals and the symbols are just that, rituals and symbols representing a deeper truth and reality. If I do not know that deeper truth, if I do not evoke that deeper truth, then the outer ritual and the symbol become meaningless.
So the physical ritual has to be powered by a psychological offering.
Yes.
The spirit of that offering,
yes,
into that ritual.
Yes. The yagna, if we call it that, in the deeper sense, it is a yagna, has to be informed and infused by jnana. I must know what this offering is. So if I'm doing this namaskar to Surya, then I must know what namaskar symbolizes and what Surya symbolizes. And not just know it, that's the jnana part of it. My jnana should be profound enough to connect with that which I know. The difference between intellectual knowledge, I may know this, but I don't connect with it, and spiritual knowledge. I know this and I connect with that which I know, the truth behind it. So when I connect with that which I know, the truth behind, and then I do this ritual or I invoke that symbol, then it becomes powerful, it becomes living, and it becomes a statement by itself, which is mental, vital, physical, spiritual, all at once. It's an integral statement.
What Sri Aurobindo calls the integral yoga.
Yes. Because if you really want to understand Sanatan Dharma, if you really, any one of us who understands the process of Sanatan Dharma, we will find that Sanatan Dharma reaches and Sanatan Dharma attains its completeness, its purnata in Sri Aurobindo's Purna Yoga.
Yeah, so your book is influenced deeply by Swami Vivekanand,
yes,
and Sri Aurobindo. And to that extent, perhaps for neither of them, rituals meant very much, and hence perhaps you haven't explored. But let's come to that chapter on Shiva. I was reading Vivek Debroy's translation of the Shiva Purana.
Okay.
And your description of Shiva somewhere echoes my understanding of what Shiva is. Please note the word what rather than who Shiva is. Tell us, is that the right question? Who is Shiva versus what is Shiva?
In a way, yes. I often say when people say, who am I? This famous Vedantic question, I always replace it with, what am I? So, yes, what is Shiva?
So tell us, what is Shiva?
I tell you what is Shiva.
Yes, yes. That chapter is beautiful. Tell us in a line, the way you explained what is Sanatan Dharma.
Shiva,
Tell us
Shiva.
what is Shiva, because Shiva is the essence of the underlying of a huge part of Sanatan Dharma. The Sanatanis, what are known as Hindus.
Right. So again, we come back to this discussion we just had. Shiva is a name, a nama. And because it's enormously difficult for us to connect with the formless, we create a form, a rupa, to go with the nama. And we call that Shiva. But what is Shiva? It's consciousness itself. Shiva is consciousness, the pure consciousness.
Satchita Ananda.
Yes, in a way. In a way.
The supramental.
Yeah. Again, in a way. Not exactly, but in a manner of speaking. But Shiva is that consciousness which is all this, which has become all this. So now, which Shiva will you invoke? What will you say is not Shiva? Who or what is not Shiva? Shiva is everything. Shiva is that one consciousness, Ekam Sat. That's Shiva. But for most people, it's very difficult to conceive of that Shiva. So you need a Nam Roop for that Shiva. So you have, what we are used to, in iconography, the symbology of Shiva, which is fine, as long as I know what the Shiva is. So back to the truth and the symbol.
So in the Purana, he has differentiated Shiva from Rudra.
So Gautam, what happens is now, if I forget the truth of Shiva, the truth that Shiva is consciousness, then what happens is Shiva becomes just that Nam Roop for me. That's the beginning of religion as we know it and practice it, not the true religion. So it becomes the Nam Roop, this is Shiva. Then I become a Shaivite, because I worship this Nam Roop called Shiva. Suppose you don't do that. You have the Nam Roop of Vishnu, so you become a Vaishnavite. So now the Sanatan, which is one Dharma, has now become two, and so on and so forth. Because I've forgotten the fact that Shiva is consciousness. The moment I recall that Shiva, that Nam Roop that I go and offer myself to, is consciousness, then Vishnu is also consciousness. Then what is not consciousness? Then even our friends who are attacking Sanatan Dharma today is also consciousness. So where do we end? So that is what I meant by the symbol and the truth behind it. That the symbol and that which it symbolizes.
Yeah. So Shiva, he's beyond the gunas, but he also is tamas.
So Shiva,
among the gunas,
yes.
Rudra is tamas,
yes.
but Shiva is
yes.
beyond the gunas.
Yes. So now
likewise,
again,
Vishnu,
yes.
Krishna,
yes.
for instance, Shri Krishna in the Gita says,
yes.
you need to transcend the three gunas.
Right.
Sattva is better than, you have to aspire towards sattva through rajas from tamas. But once you get there, you need to transcend them, and I'm beyond the gunas.
So the beauty of Sanatan Dharma is this. To understand whether it's Vishnu or Shiva, you have to first transcend two things, the gunas, yes, and the rupa. So you have to go beyond the rupa and beyond the gunas. The moment you do that, you come to the essence, which is the truth of Shiva. The moment you have touched the truth of Shiva, the essence of Shiva, the consciousness, then you come back to Rup and you come back to the gunas, and your whole existence is transformed. Because now you're back to the gunas, but now you know these gunas are Shiva's movements in you. You come to Nam Rup, and you suddenly know that every Nam Rup here is again Shiva. So your worldview, your darshan is transformed. That is the beauty of Sanatan Dharma. That is what Sanatan Dharma brings you to. And that is what Sanatan Dharma must bring you to. Now tell me one religion which does not finally get to this point, or will not finally get to this point.
Okay, so the other thing that binds all Sanatanis, all Hindu Dharma people, irrespective of the sect, is one word called Om. I like the chapter you have where you have discussed this Om, and I have also read several other interpretations of Om, or the manner in which to understand. So my first question, to which I haven't got an answer yet, is it Om or is it Aum? And if so, what is the correct pronunciation? Because in the Vedic tradition, the pronunciation and the receiving of that the forces that the word captures, the pronunciation has to be right. You have used both Om and Aum. What is the correct one? What is Sanatani? What does this word denote, and how should it be pronounced?
So if you go to Sanatan, again, the beauty of Sanatan Dharma, there are two ways of. One is I start with the pronunciation. Somebody teaches me how to enunciate, and I'll do that. Om. That's one way of doing it. The other is to meditate on Om, to become that still and that empty and that quiet, where what you meditate on begins to enter your consciousness. It begins to vibrate in your consciousness. And when that happens, the true Om rises from you. You don't have to know the pronunciation. It will just, one fine day as you're meditating, the sound will fill this universe. For you, everything will be that sound. And suddenly you will know that is Om. And before you know it, that Om will be resonating in you and everywhere. And you would have realized the sound of Om. For me, that is Sanatan Dharma, not how you pronounce it.
No, but tell us, what is the pronunciation of Om according to your book? I really want to know, and I'm sure many people here would want to know. Is it Om or is it Aum?
So it's not, you will not say Aum. What you will do is, again, the meditative part will have to come in. You'll have to start from the meditation from your lower chakras, actually from the Navi Padma chakra, where it will be the sound of and then your consciousness will rise. Your voice will not. Your consciousness will have to rise. Now you'll have to know how to raise your consciousness from this chakra to this chakra, to the Anahat. So, then it will resonate, So the syllables will merge in the meditation. And before you know it, your whole body will be resonating with Om. And it will neither be Aum nor Om. It will be something else. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't know how to explain it.
Okay, so would it be correct to say that Sanatan Dharma is the mother lode behind which are found...
I didn't hear that.
Sanatan Dharma is the mother lode, around behind which are several religions,
yes.
Vaishnava, Shaivite, Devi, and the entire encyclopedia of religions that are, or gods of religion that the Hindu Dharma has.
So how I explain it is, you have a prism and you have a ray of light moving through the prism and breaking up into its component parts. You have 7 different rays of light. So these are the various darshanas, various panthas, various sects, whatever you choose to call it. But if you go back from all this, what is this pantha and what is this sect and what is this dharma, what is this darshan, you go back and you'll see the prism, which is the human mind. So suddenly you see that all these separations are actually happening in the human mind. Take the mind away, all this is gone. So you go back from here, you go back to the mind. Then you ask, what is behind the mind? Where is the mind receiving from? Because if your mind is quiet enough, you know that you're receiving. So then you see the white light behind, which is coming into the prism. Then the mind is also gone. All that is gone, this is gone, the light remains. That is Shiva.
Okay, so I'm going to open it up in some time. One last question. Please, if you have questions, raise your hands. The mics will reach you. I don't know how to articulate the question itself, but the entire edifice of all gurus. Firstly, we need to talk about gurus, and secondly, there is a subsequent question after that. What is a guru? Who is a guru? What is the guru that you talk about within? How does one find him? And if one doesn't, is an external guru a precondition to getting there? Or at the stage of your evolution, you can, because even Sri Aurobindo had a guru. Even Swami Vivekananda had a guru. What is this idea of a guru in Sanatan Dharma?
For most of us, we need a guru, an external guru. For most of us. Because, see, it's a question of whether your consciousness is subtilized enough to experience the guru within. Because the guru within hides behind your mind and its activities. And for most of us, especially those of us who are thinkers, intellectuals, the mental activity is so what's the word? Loud? Yes, loud. Deafeningly loud. Is that we are so caught up in this noise of activity that we don't know what is behind the noise. So in Sanatan Dharma, we always say that silence behind all noise is there everywhere. Right now, if everyone here just keeps quiet immediately, just total silence, you'll experience the silence behind it. So that silence behind the mental activity is the beginning of your process of becoming sukshma, becoming subtle.
So could silence be the guru which guides you?
Silence is not the guru, but silence is what takes you to the guru. Because the moment you enter the true silence within, you become aware of the presence behind. The presence that is behind each one of us. The true self that we are first comes to us as this presence. And that's the first guru. That's what the first touch of the guru. So what the outer guru will tell you is how to experience this inner guru. Every true outer guru, Sadguru, will always eventually show you how to come in touch with the inner guru.
Okay, last question before I open up. Every tradition talks about transformation. It is such a word that today politicians have started talking about transformation. Every random company is transformed. But the transformation in the spiritual sense, what I have, through the several readings on various philosophies and philosophers that I have gone through, only Sri Aurobindo expounds it with a clarity of what that transformation is. How do you see transformation in the Sanatan Dharma?
So, since we don't
what
have
is
so
being
much
transformed
time,
and how will it be transformed?
So, for me, I don't relate so much to transformation per se, but more of realization again. It's my Vedantic approach. So, what Sri Aurobindo said is his idea of transformation is the human in us, the human transforms into the divine. The divine truth, the divine light transforms the human substance in us into its own being, its own likeness, its own being. So the human is transformed into the divine. What Vedanta says is we are already the divine within. When that divine within becomes completely manifest without, in the mind, in the vital, in the physical, down to the cells of the body, when that divine is fully vyakt in the Nam Roop, fully vyakt in the gunas, fully vyakt in the akar and gati of this universe, it's fully vyakt, fully manifest in all that we are and all that we do, then the transformation has happened. So is it a transformation? Is it a realization?
I think it's a transformation, at least within Sri Aurobindo, because he talks about bringing that force down. We open it up. Who's got the mic? Yeah, Vikram.
Thank you for such a fascinating discussion, both of you. I have a very, practical situation. Now, the lofty principles of a philosophy like this, which has lasted for centuries, when it comes in conflict or in contact with other philosophies which do not have such lofty principles, which say it's my way or the highway, there's only one path to truth, and if you're not, then you're going to be roasted in hellfire and all of that. How does this principle of loftiness, combat that? Or are we going to remain pusillanimous and just say, if everything is consciousness, Aurangzeb was also consciousness, so there is no need to reclaim Akashi, there is no need to reclaim anything, everything is part. So does that also lead us to inaction and tolerance to the extreme, non-violence to the extreme? And for that, is Hindutva the answer?
So a very important question, this Vikram. This is a very, very important question. So, and I'm happy you've asked this. So allow me. Yeah, sometimes times become irrelevant. So allow me. Once again, I go back to what I said to Gautam. The first, there comes a time when Dharma youth is inevitable. We have to fight for the Dharma. We have to learn how to speak up for the Dharma. So finally, we are the nimittas of the Dharma. But how do we do this? Do we do it the way our enemies are doing it? I personally don't think so. First, absolutely indispensable step is to realize the Dharma that we are. This Dharma is consciousness, yes, but it is Shiva consciousness. It is like you said, Raudra consciousness. The Raudra is as much in us as the Shanta is. So there is a time to be Shant, there is a time to be filled with that Raudra Shakti. So how do I realize that? Does that Raudra Shakti come by my shouting? Or does it come through that absolute inner mastery of silence? Where does it come from? That Raudra comes from the realization that I am that Raudra. I am that Surya. When that comes into me, when I stand with the Dharma that I have realized, everyone shuts up. None can speak when Dharma speaks. None can stand when Dharma looks you in the eye. That's the power of truth. We have lost that power of truth. That for me is pusillanimity. We have lost that power of satyam that shines through your eyes, that speaks through your speech, that lives through your existence, that breathes through your breath. Where is that? So this is a very important question today, and your question too, that we were discussing in the morning.
So I have a corollary to this, which is that if this is the answer, 3 people will be able to reach there. What he's talking about is the mass, 1 billion people or 800 million people. And I think Sri Aurobindo has an answer there. Yes, you have to pick up the Shastra. I'm not saying this. Sri Aurobindo says it. Vivekananda ji says this. And what the nature of that Shastra is, we don't know yet. But Sri Aurobindo has said, if there's a barbarian coming at you, trying to kill you, you're not going to sit and get killed. You have to stand up and fight. Same thing Sri Krishna said on the Kurukshetra, you have to fight. I think the Kshatriyata within Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma has been lost. That Kshatriyata needs to be brought back.
And that is a Shakti. That Kshatriyata
yes, ma'am.
is a Shakti.
Can you give the mic to her, please?
I think the people are aware when they have to arouse and when they have to act. They don't need any guidance. They know when to do it. So we should be very hopeful. The Hindu society will act when it's the right time to act.
Can you give the mic there, please?
My name is Ashok Chaugule. I'm the Vice President of Vishwa Hindu Parishad. In the definition that you gave an answer to Vikramji's question, which is really what I wanted to ask, where does Shivaji come into the picture in the manner in which you answered? Shivaji did exactly opposite of what you said should be done. Isn't that correct?
it's not so clear. Shivaji,
He's asking that within the context of what you have defined, where is Shivaji located?
No,
How does Shivaji come into the Sanatan Dharma and do what he did?
So again, the Dharma speaks through so many nimittas, so many instruments. In the Dharma, we have words for this. We have a word called Vibhuti. Sri Aurobindo often used it. So he said there are certain Vibhutis of that consciousness which are powerful by their very being and that much more powerful by their action. So Shivaji is a Vibhuti. In fact, I think Shivaji, Sri Aurobindo called him a Vibhuti at one point, if I recall right. Am I right? So he's a Vibhuti. Like there have been several other Vibhutis. Napoleon was also a Vibhuti according to Sri Aurobindo. So Vibhutis are special focused power of the supreme consciousness that comes into the field of action and acts upon that which opposes or threatens the Dharma. Dharma is not, it's not always that, how is Dharma speaking? How is Dharma going to fight our Dharma Yuddha for us? Through us, we are the nimittas. So sometimes Dharma speaks through you. Sometimes Dharma acts through you, wills through you, acts through you, even kills through you. So that is the way it happens, because Dharma is a force that has to choose its instruments and then act through that instrument and do what it must do in the plane of action, in the Leela.
Ma'am, can you give it to that person there? In the meantime, I'll just ask a question. You're talking about forces, so, and Sri Aurobindo says money is a force.
Yes.
And in your book also you have referred to it, money is a force. And you know, at some point I'm beginning to understand the force, but you please tell us, how is money a force within the Sri Aurobindo tradition?
So again, money is a symbol. Behind money is the force of actuation, is a force that enables you to do what must be done in the field of action. So Sri Aurobindo says wealth force. Money represents wealth force. Wealth force is the force of Mahalakshmi working on this physical plane, physical material plane. So it is in that sense that money is a force.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Your question.
Yeah, my name is Sanjeev. So my question is, as you mentioned, all rituals have to be infused with some kind of consciousness. So what is your view as a Sanatani? What should be the practice that we should follow? Or what kind of ritual that we should follow in a day-to-day life?
Day-to-day life?
What Hinduism is full of rituals. And so what is the practice that Sanatanis should follow? That's your question, right?
What I said a while ago, to realize the Dharma within ourselves. Now, this is not the platform to go into that, how to realize the Dharma within ourselves, but what every Sanatani must do today is to realize that Dharma within ourselves. I think that is our Dharma right now.
And I think if you were to read Sri Aurobindo, this is that open source code that you find the Dharma within yourself, find the God within yourself, find your own path and walk on it. There is no one, just like there is no one book, there is no one God, there is no one religion, there is no one path. And I think that is what perhaps we need to discover it ourselves. I think the jigyasa, as long as it's there, it will lead us to the path. Yeah, Parikshit.
Use it.
Don't touch it.
Does it work? Okay. So I think there's a little confusion that people are misunderstanding you, that we have to sit for 15 years in the Himalayan cave to realize the dharma within you. Okay. Karma Yoga is also dharma. Karma Yoga is not something that you will sit for 15 years and then you start doing karma.
Yes.
Doing karma with a sense of surrendering it and offering it to the divine is itself a beginning of the realization of Sanatana Dharma. So I think the pacifism and the active,
Yes.
the wimpiness and the strength.
Right.
I think you just need to maybe close that up, because you're not saying sit in a room and
No,
realize
no.
dharma.
Absolutely right. In fact, you will find in this book, there's a whole section devoted to the Gita, where I have said that the Gita is the living of the Dharma. If there's anyone here who wants to know, how do I live this Sanatan Dharma? The Bhagavad Gita is the answer. So, and Sri Krishna never says that. He doesn't tell Arjun, go sit and go meditate and then come back and fight. So you're absolutely right. It needs the right understanding.
I think it's the spirit with which we approach the work that we do that defines either is it an offering or is it an ego-driven thing. So I think we're out of time now. I want to strongly.
I have a question for you. Not a difficult one. You have read this book. So I just want to know from you, did you enjoy reading this book? So did you enjoy reading this? Did you find the rasa? Yes or no? For those who, I don't
think it's a yes/no answer. I loved reading the book. It's a very simple book without being simplistic. It tackles very complex concepts and hands them to you gently. I think there are at least 5 more books that need to be written by you in this tone that expand the Sanatan Dharma and its various aspects in slightly more detail, but in the same treatment. It is so good that I will not write my book on Sanatan Dharma. In fact, I would say that this book of Partho and yesterday's Anand, where is my younger brother Anand? Oh, he's got his hand up. Sorry, time up. No, you're not going to embarrass us today. Maybe we can meet outside. These 2 books need to be read together. Anand's book needs to be read to tell us why we must understand Sanatan Dharma, what it is all about. This book must be read to understand what Sanatan Dharma is. The politics and the philosophy, the outer world and the inner realms of both. These 2 books need to be read together. Thank you very much. Thanks, Partho.